national broadcaster, as our mandate is to ensure that we inform, educate and entertain, and on top of it also guide you as a viewer of Uganda, and then also put you in sync with what the government is planning for you or what the government is making sure you are able to achieve. But that said, the front bench tonight switches the attention to the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Over the years, and why I started with the Independence Day message is because we've been looking at agriculture as the backbone of our economy, and tell you what, that has not changed. Because when you look at the statistics as well, you get to realize that the agricultural sector is employing 70% of the working population, or 70% of the working population are employed in the agricultural sector, meaning that is both directly and indirectly. Now the questions here are, how then are we going to enhance productivity, and how then are we going to also increase on the practices that are safer for our agricultural sector? And then to you as a Ugandan who is directly involved in agriculture, what questions do you have for the ministry? What questions do you have for the minister? And what questions do you have for the permanent secretary? The hashtag on X is UBC Frontbench. Here, decisions are made at the front, but tell you what, on the same show, you get to realize that we give you a direct link to the government, to the various ministries, departments, and agencies where you get to ask the questions that matter. Now let's get right into it, because I do have my guests already seated, and I would love them to get into the greetings and also to let you know that they are here to ensure that they answer the questions, so that you also get to know what the ministry does, its mandate, and what other government projects are passing through the same ministry. But first off, I'll be getting into the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze. A very good evening, Honorable, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, viewers and fellow farmers. Happy to be here and discuss with you the work we do, and largely the work we do, because agriculture is in the hands of the people, not mainly in our hands. We play a supportive role.
All right, and with him he has Major General Chosura Chomukama, who is the Permanent Secretary of the same ministry. Very good evening, Major General. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, viewers. I'm very glad to be here to explain the work that we do to the Ugandans, to whom we account. Thank you very much.
Well, of course, Major General Kasura Chomukama, I beg your pardon, is here from the Office of the Permanent Secretary, because he serves as the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. And with him and the Minister, will be answering those questions that you are having as a Ugandan, as someone who is directly in the agriculture sector. So sit back, because we are getting right into it. Good evening, and this is the Front Bench.
This is the Front Bench. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari heritage advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey, and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Fellow countrymen and women, these are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the front bench.
Hashtag on X is the UBC Front Bench. Please do note that also, if you want to send a message directly, you can use the number 0709602592 for you to send in your concerns and questions to the Minister and the Permanent Secretary. Please also note, you can also use the same for SMS. And now, this evening we are talking matters policies, we're talking agro-processing, value addition and commercialization of the agricultural industry. Many of those are concerns that many of you, the Ugandans and our dear viewer this evening have. And of course, if you have more questions, you can do the same. Let me get right on to my questions this evening. And I start off with the Honorable Minister, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze. Honorable, looking into the state of Uganda's agriculture, we need to know the statistics and also basing on the regional involvement. How is it so far?
Thank you, our moderator. Agriculture continues to grow. The growth rate average is between 5.1 to around 5.5, and we hope it will even get to 6, because much more of the young people that hitherto were not participating in agriculture are now aggressively opening land, and that's interesting. Agriculture contributes 24.6%, roughly 25% to our GDP, and over 40%, actually 41.8%, of our country's exports are agro. Those are agricultural exports. So really, I want to congratulate and thank Ugandans for sustaining the country's agricultural revolution. Because we government, my colleague PS, the whole government, we don't farm. As government, we have no gardens. As government, we have no corrals. As government, we don't produce eggs. As government, we don't produce fish, but we play a supportive and facilitative role to the people who do the digging, the harvesting, the production. So we serve them, and what we do is support them with enabling infrastructure, physical infrastructure, the roads, the research, the knowledge, okay, to ensure that our seeds are resilient. That's what the National Agricultural Organization does. The breeding, the policies of ensuring that, for example, the exports have no tax on them. Because you've seen a big chunk of the exports of the country are agricultural exports. So the NRM government took a decision, no tax on exports. That therefore facilitates easy trade. The opening of markets, our president has been a lead on this. The introduction of Uganda Airlines, all is intended to open markets. So the role of government and the role of the Ministry of Agriculture is we support with research, we support with the enabling physical and technological infrastructure. We've been giving out many farmers cooperatives, many groups enabling machinery. We've been building stores for them. We've been supporting them with post-harvest handling. Even when you go to the district level, to the sub-county level, the structure of government is there for agriculture. The extension staff, they are there to guide the farmer. On farm planning, how should you utilize your land? You've always heard the president talk about the 4-acre model. It is all essential about planning. 1 acre for this enterprise, another acre for this enterprise, another acre for food security, and then where you build your homestead. So the model is when let's say you have 4 acres, you must balance it between cash crop, where you get money, and where your food security is guaranteed, the food reserve of the home, and where you have your home. So really, the Ministry of Agriculture is there to represent the government in offering a support system for the farming community. Thank you.
And of course, now we turn our focus on to the Permanent Secretary's office, because we need to know on the matters to do with efficiency. How is the ministry intending to improve on the efficiency, and also the measures that they will put forward to ensure monitoring and evaluation? Major General Chomukama, from that side of the efficiency, how is the ministry going to ensure that there is continuity and there is sustainability from that side?
Maybe, thank you very much. I need to first tell you how we are organized.
Please.
Maybe. The ministry is organized into 3 sectors, 3 main subsectors, which is crop, the crops, groundnuts, bananas, etc., etc., the plants, then the animals, pigs, poultry, but within the animals, we are also organized into, we have a sector of insects. They call it entomology, the scientists. Then you have a fisheries sector, specifically. So there are 3 sectors: crop, animal, and fish. But there's also a fourth sector that when we came in, through the guidance of the Honorable Minister, we created what is called the Agricultural Value Chain Development Strategy, with the market as an anchor factor. So we created, didn't create, but we encouraged the formation of another group of people whose job, we call it agribusiness, developing the business side of agriculture. And this basically to say, when you are in agriculture, do it, yes, food security, but have a chivaro, what the president calls the chivaro, the economics of the agriculture. And these are mainly the people who deal with the issues that the minister has been talking about, of encouraging value addition, of supporting value addition, and so on and so forth. Now, within each of these sectors, we have various commissioners, and the ministry, the public service is organized in a way that you have commissioners, you have assistant commissioners, you have principal officers and senior officers, and so on. However, General, I don't want to enumerate each and every one of them, but each, just suffice it to say that in each of the sectors, we have a group of people who are responsible for enforcement of standards. We have a group of people who are responsible for production. And then we have a group of people who are responsible for ensuring that we deal with disease and pests when they occur. And so, for example, in animal resources, we have a commissioner for animal health. We have a commissioner for animal production. We have a commissioner for regulation, enforcement, and so on and so forth, for disease control, etc., etc. Now, outside the ministry, you know, there's a rationalization process that is going on. We also have the coffee, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, it's within the sector of the ministry. You have very many. You have National Agricultural Research Organization. You have the NAGRIC, the National Animal Genetics Research Center, and the Data Bank. You have the NAD, National Agriculture Advisory Services. Okay. You have the Cotton Development Organization. And I think those are all. I think you have the fisheries organizations and so NAGRIC, etc. Now, we are ensuring, because you see, the business of government must be run like a government of business. Okay. We try as much as possible to run our organization in such a way that we leverage efficiencies. People must be able to start a task, complete it based on the strategic goal. And we are, because you know, most of our people are scientists and very clever people, very smart, very good people. All we do is we set tasks. We ensure that these people understand these tasks. We ensure that we interact with them to ensure that the tasks we have set, they can answer to them. And then we emphasize that these tasks must be completed. I know in many times there's some shortcomings, but we, as much as possible, support these people to ensure that these tasks and the dangers that are there in agriculture are solved, are supported, and are resolved.
And on that point, Major General, when you look at policies and the efficiency and how everything's supposed to work, do we have the local governments involved in this policy alignment and ensuring that at least we have everything moving on smoothly from the ministry down to every household?
Absolutely, because as the Honourable Minister stated, the local government, actually that's where all the action occurs. We do not do any farming either in Entebbe or at Cotton House. our Tweed Towers where we have our offices. We do farming in the villages. And each count, through the policy of decentralization, each district, each sub-county, each parish now has professional agricultural staff. And these staff are actually members of staff of the local governments. So that's point one. The local governments are the ones who control the DVOs. They recruit and control the DVOs. They supervise them. We provide overall policy guidance, supervision, and strategic direction. But the day-to-day supervision of these people is by the local government. Two, every year, we sit down with the Ministry of Local Government, a Minister of Finance, Minister of Local Government, and the local governments themselves. And we say, in this year, this is what you are supposed to do, and this is how you are supposed to do it. And we give them what is called a local government grant. There's 139 billion shillings, which is transferred from the money that should go to agriculture and goes directly to the local government. And this money goes for things like operations, so that the DVOs and other people can be able to go to the field, and disease surveillance, education, and so on and so forth. They also go, you know, now our scientists have got enhanced salaries. And so they also go towards ensuring that these people have enhanced salaries and so on. Now, through also the local government, I think they call it Local Government Financial Commission, we actually write an agreement. We write a performance agreement with the local government, and we know at the end of the financial year, we sit down with them and we say, you people, this is what we decided that you should do. These are the targets that we gave you. Have you achieved these targets? Many times they achieve them, sometimes they don't achieve them. We negotiate about how they haven't achieved them, and then we solve the problem. That's why, again, through the guidance of the Honorable Minister, we have focused on ensuring that the local governments they are given equipment, they are facilitated. We've been giving out motorcycles, we've been giving out vehicles, we've been giving out other equipment, tablets, etc., to the extension officers to make sure that the targets we give them, they can achieve them.
Okay. And Honorable, I do understand that every ministry is taking the steps to achieve Vision 2040. And as we're switching into the National Development Plan 4 from the NDP 3, when you look at the vision that the ministry has for the agriculture sector in the coming years, what is that, and what strategies are you employing to ensure that these objectives are met?
First of all, like I told you, farming is done by the people.
True.
Either as individuals or cooperatives. So our role as the Ministry of Agriculture is, first of all, to create awareness. And I want to thank our president. He's been the key crusader for this. So the farmer must, first of all, understand what he or she is going to do at the farm. The first determinant is the size of your land. If you have small land, obviously you fall in the category of intensive farming. If you have big land, there are people who have big land, square miles, okay? You can do extensive farming, you can do big ranching, you can do extensive grain cultivation, and you will be making a lot of business sense because we need grain for animal feed. We even need grain for kaunga, for food security. So the strategy we have is to make sure that we advise people correctly on how to utilize their land. The size of your land determines the type of farming you will do. If you have big land, you can do both extensive and intensive farming. Okay? Yes. You can do poultry on a smaller plot. But you can as well have many poultry structures on a large scale if you have big land. That's point number one. Then to enterprise selection. Correct enterprise selection. It again goes back to farmer mobilization and farm awareness. We've done the ecological zoning of the country. The DPS will tell you the 19 zones. We've produced a profile per sub-region, citrus for Eastern, bananas for this. Even regions like northern Uganda, which had more or less been condemned to tobacco by the deceptive colonial advisory, isn't it? They now know they can do coffee. And we have high hopes in the northern region, Western Nile, Achora and Lango, being a coffee hub, because the area is flat, it favors tractorization, so it can do a lot. It can do well in cattle, it can do well in coffee. Not only the cotton, not only the tobacco. So first of all, we have to be very clear on the kind of messaging, on the kind of message we give to the people to avoid confusion. So we've been working out on this message, and the president has been our chief guide on this. Then when we come now, we go to sustainable farming. You cannot achieve the vision, whether 2040, whether 2063 of the African Union, if you're not farming sustainably. Isn't it? Otherwise, you will only eat and finish, and then there is no tomorrow. Farming sustainably means balancing the needs for food and balancing it with the ecosystem. They actually now call it food, feed, forest balance. Those three must be balanced. In your struggle for animal feed production, in your struggle for food production, you must balance it with the forest cover. So sustainable farming, climate smart farming, that's what the structure PS told you of the district production coordinators, of the sub-county agricultural staff, of the vets. They must be guiding the people. Okay? And we've been deliberate. We've been seeing us giving out motorbikes, such that there is no excuse of farm outreach. That excuse is no more.
Okay.
We have no transport. We've given out now, almost now, 300,000 tractors. And we'll continue, I hope in the next 2-3 years, we'll be able to cover over 1,000, if not all the sub-counties. And these are in addition to the others we had given in the previous term. So really, sometimes people ask agriculture and say, what have you done? There are so many players in government that support agriculture. We don't do roads, for example. But in the value chain strategy, road infrastructure is key to the determination of farm access, linking farm to the market. Okay? So our strategy number one is to ensure more people join farming. More arable land gets opened. Okay? Quality seed is available. Okay, next time we come here, perhaps we will come with our research institutions.
So that they break down.
Yes, they break down on, there has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seeds?
Because Honorable, on that same point,
Yes.
I want you to also clarify on what the ministry is doing to achieve the commercialization of agriculture.
That's it. Physical infrastructure, linking the garden to the market is strategy number one.
Okay.
2, technological infrastructure. Look at, and how do you achieve that? Developing value chains of specific enterprises. Look at coffee. So many people are processing coffee now. The president has even set a bar higher. I want soluble coffee made in Uganda. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why the quality of coffee is going up and up and down. Milk. We are now exporting powdered milk. Isn't it?
Yeah.
The oil seeds in northern Uganda.
Yeah.
One of our projects is even going to give out the processing plants.
Yes.
So primary processing, Paul, primary processing is what we encourage. And then secondary processing, that's another level of industrialization. And at that point, our comrades from the Ministry of Trade take over. Because there, agricultural products can even be mixed with other ingredients to do other products. So ours is to ensure that there is sustainable production and also productivity. Now there are two words that people need to understand: production and productivity. Isn't it? Yes, you are producing 50 bags of coffee, but at what cost? Where is the efficiency of what you are doing? You get the point. We are encouraging that if your land has been used time and again and again. It's high time you apply the fertilizer. Even as basic as just basic manure from the poultry waste, from the cow waste, all that can be very, very good manure if well arranged and applied, especially for coffee. If you are able, of course, you will buy the DAP for the planting, the NPK, and you apply it. But even if you're not able to buy the most expensive fertilizer, if you are doing the 4-acre model the president talks about, actually the 4-acre model balances it. If I have poultry there, if I have
fish farming,
if I have dairy, from the poultry, I have manure. I have manure for my biogas, content for raw material for my biogas, but I also have manure to put in my coffee or banana plantation. So that's productivity. Okay. So you can increase productivity, what they call vertically, by applying in inputs. But also for people with what they call idle land, open it. If you, like people who do cattle, you find somebody has 1 square mile of cattle. Thank you so much. You can do more cattle if 100 or 200 acres of that land was opened up for animal feed. And you move away from the roaming. That's why you cannot sustain the same milk production in the dry weather. There is no fresh grass for for the cows to have enough. So we are guiding the farmers to farm smart for future generations, but also farm with the dictates of the market. What the PS talked about. The market is the determinant in our production, or else you will be producing for the stomach only. So the objective is to ensure the stomach is okay, as it has been okay for sure. Uganda's food security hasn't been queried, but now we want you to produce for the market and produce sustainably. Okay. Thank you.
And my viewer would like to also draw your attention that under the 2024-2025 financial year that we are running, the 72 trillion budget, you get to realize that we are running under the theme of full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercialization, through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. So the president has been very vocal when it comes to commercial agriculture. Now let me run very fast to the permanent secretary before we even head into a break. The minister mentioned something to do with the 19 zones. If you can expand more on that for the viewer to fully understand what he meant.
Yes, the 19 agroecological zones are zones which we have, through a study, we have studied climatic conditions, we have studied soil conditions, we have studied the general cultural and other conditions around a certain area, and we have advised that we have created agroecological zones. And we advise that certain enterprises are best done in these zones. I'll give you an example. For example, we have said northern Uganda, we have an agroecological, and in each of these agroecological zones, before I go into this example, we have made sure they are conditioned to stimulate and catalyze production of specific selected crops. For example, northern Uganda, we are now, because of the conditions of the weather, the conditions of the soil, as the minister explained, and so on and so forth, we are hoping to catalyze the production of vegetable seed, vegetable oil. Now, vegetable oil, Uganda requires, I think, imports $350 million worth of vegetable oil. We only produce, Uganda, with our beautiful soil, we only produce a quarter of what we need. So we need to ramp up our production, multiply by 4. Now, northern Uganda is very good for producing things like simsim, sesame, things like sunflower, soya, because they have very nice soil. The soil, I don't want to go into the science, but the soil is good for this. So we have said, we have zoned northern Uganda and have said, please, northern Uganda, let us help you to produce as much vegetable oil as possible. So we've set a project, it's called It's called National Oilseeds Project, to produce oilseeds in northern Uganda. And in that project, as the minister was telling you, we are even integrating the value chain. So not only will we be producing the vegetable oil, but we shall also be helping to crush it, produce vegetable seed.
Entire value addition chain.
Absolutely. Now, and in northern Uganda, we have put, for example, a mechanization center. Each of these agroecological zones has a mechanization center. Each of them has a specific set of interventions, which we think. On another day, I can explain to you how many are they. But for today, let me explain to you, rather, which are they. But let me explain to you, for example, Mbale. We have an agroecological zone in Mbale. We have an in the Bugiso region. You have an agroecological zone, for example, in the Teso region. And in each of these, if you see where we have a mechanization, we call them zonal mechanization center. Where you have that, we have centered. We even have a research center in that agroecological zone to produce the correct seeds and the correct genetic interventions that are going to help to feed the farming in that agroecological zone. This is actually part of why the minister was talking about farming smart. Not taking chances, because farming the people of Uganda must understand it's a very lucrative enterprise if you do it correctly.
And well, indeed, and on that particular point, when we do return after the break, we talk not as farming smart, but also change of seasons. What initiatives are is the ministry coming up with to address irrigation, water management, and then also the young people's involvement in agriculture? Are there initiatives, are there programs geared towards getting the young people involved directly in the agricultural sector? This is the front bench. We do return shortly afterwards. Stick around.
This is the front bench.
A woman's journey is not just the places she's been, but the different people she's become. It's the evolution of her identity. If you're a female creative, a writer, a passionate actress, a producer, a director, or working in the film industry, this is your tribe. Join us for the Women in Film Symposium 2024 on October 26th at Skies Hotel, Nakuru, under the theme, Skilling Women in Film for Equality, Sustainability and Advocacy. Don't miss live performances, cocktails, awards, workshops, networking, panel discussions, and so much more. Gates open at 4 p.m. The fee is 50,000 Uganda shillings, payable via Momo Pay Code 713362 or call 0786 312 218. Sponsored by.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This is the front bench.
Correct. The hashtag is UBC Frontbench on the X app and also on our WhatsApp number or SMS 0709 602 592 for you, our viewer, to put your concerns and also air your views and opinions in regards to what the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is doing to ensure that we achieve Vision 2040, and from the side of the agricultural industry, enhancing productivity and also improving on the quality from the side of the agricultural sector. This is a conversation that you, a Ugandan, should be very much part of, because like I did mention at the opener, 70% of the population being employed in the agricultural sector is no mean feat, if I choose to say. Now, let's get back into our conversation this evening. Honorable Minister, when you look at the change of seasons, at times many of the farmers are affected, and yes, one may wonder, what is the government doing to address, one, irrigation, and then when it comes to water management, what initiatives are in place?
That's true. Even this season, as you can see, the weather is erratic. The monitoring institution for the weather, the UNIMA for government, has been giving out information. Irrigation is a priority for government. We work on this assignment together with the Ministry of Water, together with the Ministry of Local Government. And the strategy in irrigation depends on the type of farming.
Okay.
If I am having a plot, backyard farming, just a quarter an acre, I don't need an irrigation dam. You get it? Mm-hmm. I can just do that with the drip irrigation from even water harvested from my roof. So that's irrigation. But
modern solutions for modern
exactly.
problems.
So the solutions we prescribe vary from place to place. For the lowlands in Teso and Buked and whatever, we've been investing in putting up big dams, the schemes, such that the people around, first of all, the dams help two things. Not only to one, irrigation for the people within that radius, but also to control flooding. So we've been doing a lot of dams in the east, in Karamoja, together with the Ministry of Water. They do much bigger dams than us because we concentrate on the farm and they concentrate on beyond the farm. Then also, we have some excavators as a ministry.
Okay.
The PS can give you the numbers. We put them in sub-regions, and the farmers access them to dig dams on farm, valley tanks. If you have a dam and with very good clay soil, it will protect the water, you can use it to pump. Then there is also the program of UGift, which is implemented across ministries, Ministry of Finance, districts. At the district level, a farmer pays half or 25%. 25%. And they come to your farm and they give you the infrastructure. They create water, move around. If you're a dairy farmer, they give you water in their troughs. If you have fish and poultry, they give you water. It's happening in the districts. My appeal to the district people, to the RDCs, to the cows, please use that airtime you have on your radios every week to explain how does a farmer, a medium, large-scale commercial farmer, access UGift. What do they need to do? Those who know have benefited. It's there in every district. And when you are traveling, you even see signposts. This farm is supported by UGift. So irrigation is a priority. And even the more projects now we are designing, like the Climate Smart project funded by the World Bank coming on board, I think we'll have another one from the IFAD. The PS will tell you, we are prioritizing irrigation, such that people value water, okay? And they use it accordingly. But like I said, you use, your water requirements will be determined by the type of farming you are doing, okay? Then also, most importantly, is for farm planning. The way you farm will determine how you can irrigate. Do not take away your gardens far away from your water source. Okay? Because that means you will have to invest a lot in the piping. Now, and who can guide you on this? The extension staff. The extension staff. There is that complaint we keep getting.
Of the extension services.
Of the extension staff not reaching out. That's indiscipline. The cows should act on them. The sub-county chiefs should really be aggressive. People now are in farming more than ever before, I can tell you. PDM, I didn't talk about PDM.
Because it's one of the
PDM
cores
has
of the
put
manifesto
money,
now.
PDM has put money in the hands of the small people. These people never got money before. They couldn't go to the banks to get a loan. They were not they were in the group of the unbanked. So a lot of money has been put in the hands of smallholder people to use to buy inputs. A lot of inputs are being bought. I can tell you, the coffee nurseries are facing stockouts because of this revolution of everybody going to plant, be it the small ones supported by PDM or even the big ones motivated by the increasing global prices. So you extension staff, you have more work. Get out and guide people on farm planning. If I have a dam in the valley, where should I position my fodder gardens? Where should my coffee be? How should I easily bring my manure from the kraal to where it should be? That advisory, it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour of an extension staff to leave the sub-county and be in like 3 farms. Even if you covered 5 farms every day, okay? In a week, let's say 5 days, you've covered 15 farms. In a month, you will have finished the entire sub-county. So I really appeal to the district people, and I also appeal to the elected leaders. You know, Paul, what we need to know, NRM brought a system that is populated with a lot of leadership positions. Council at the parish level, council at the district level, the women are represented, the youth are represented, the PWs are represented, there is an LC3. Why all this? The thinking behind the ideology of NRM, which General Kasura was teaching at Chankwanzi, is that the interests of the people will be most catered for and protected by the elected leaders than the people of the Bapakasi, which the president says, the civil servants. So if the civil servants are not doing a good job,
okay,
you the council of the parish, you the sub-county council, you the LC3, come up and speak. Go to the RDC and tell him the extension staff of our sub-county are absent, and that RDC will take action. I've emphasized this because it's the major complaint.
Coming in from
yes.
many, by the way.
Yes.
But also, Major General, looking into the issues of food security, because however much we've been able to go away from that, it's not open for discussion as much when you look at how other countries are suffering, really. But do we have those programs in place to ensure that we are never reaching into a situation where we even lack what to eat?
Absolutely. Now, you know, some of these words are bandied around, if I can use that statement. And really, people don't contextualize them. They don't put the word food security, the phrase food security into context. Okay. Now, security is absence of want, when you don't fear. Now, the problem of food security can come from several factors. One, we could have a situation where you don't have enough food. Two, you could have a situation where you have the food, but it cannot get to the people who need it. You could have plenty of food in one area and very little food in another area. Three, you could have food which is not nutritious. You have a lot of food of the wrong type, which is either not nutritious or unsafe for consumption. And four, you could have food which is not, the word is affordable, which people can't afford. Now, we try to address all these four. We try to address the issue of ensuring that the food is available when people need it and where people need it. The irony of Uganda, for example, is that in some years, you'll be giving food aid to Karamoja. This is the popular one. Taking food aid to Karamoja, when actually the price of maize in Kiryandongo, which is in the same country, has collapsed. You'll have our partners World Food Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, and other people, buying food at depressed prices in Chiliandongo and taking it to Karamoja. So when we ask ourselves, is Uganda food insecure, or is it a problem of the distribution of this food? Now, the other issue, of course, is that when you think about it, the issue of affordability of food is that the people who consume the food want the food at low prices. But what about those people in Tiandongo who produce the food? If you're talking of commercialization of agriculture, and you are talking about ensuring that the people who produce the food get fair prices. So, wouldn't there be an argument, which indeed some people have made, of ensuring that the people who produce the food, maize, sorghum and other things, get fair price, but ensure that this food can be distributed to the people who have no food? So really the issue is to ensure that the food comes from where it is in plenty, okay, and goes to the places where it is not there. Not food insecurity. And okay, just one other issue. That's why me, personally, I talk about food, about income security. Ensuring that you can afford food of the right quality, and you can afford this food when you need it and how you need it. Okay. And more important, ensuring, because you see, income security confers upon you sovereignty, but freedom. If I want to eat posho, I'll eat posho. If I want to eat potatoes, I'll eat potatoes. Now, when you have the kind of, you're talking of having certain types of food, you don't have food security, then you're telling people, yes, we can only give you maize, or we can only give you. When I was growing up I grew up in Uganda here, people were talking about bando, akaunga ka bando. You know, my grandmother is from around, would never eat posho or cassava as food. Okay. They actually did not consider it food. Never. Because food here in the central is matoke. So my grandfather and my grandmother would eat matoke. Cassava, posho was for the workers. Okay. Cassava was for tea in the morning for breakfast. The food was matoke.
Okay. Yeah. And looking down to the breakdown of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics National Planning and Housing Census report, just last week the Daily Monitor had made a report saying that the poor tend to be living longer now compared to the rich. And many people were saying the reason as to why this report has been developed is because maybe some of the rich in the country are not taking a lot of attention when it comes to the kind of food they consume. And when Major General has highlighted something to do with food security, you do realize that it encompasses lots of things. It also goes back to the quality of food you consume as an individual and how safe that food is in terms of storage. But Major General, still on matters to do with the population census, you do realize that over the years the population has been growing, and so are the young people. And one may wonder, what is the ministry doing to ensure that the young people now get directly involved in agriculture or get to benefit from the agricultural sector? Because now they form the largest bit of the population.
One, by ensuring that we farm smart, as the Honorable Minister was talking about. Farming smart encompasses 2 or 3 things. One, making sure that you farm with the chivaro in the time and place appropriate for that farming enterprise. But 2, using appropriate technologies, ensuring that you put technology into the farming. Many people don't know that now you have to understand, be able to predict the weather, for example. Because when you plant without predicting the weather, you are at the vagaries of nature, and tomorrow the sun, as our people say, the rain will disappear, and you'll not be able to farm. So our young people today can go into farming, because farming is, if I can use this term, sexy it is, we've put technology. You no longer need to use the hoe, chidima, what our people used to call chidima, you know, using the hoe, because now
to use technology,
we now use technology, we mechanize, we have mechanized, we use tractors, we have even small tractors, we walk around, we have walk behind tractors. We have chicken, for example, poultry, you can do it in cages, or you can do it in deep litter, but inside a house. You use farm power. Farm power, you know, you can have a walk behind tractor, which has a generator, which has a chaff cutter, which has an irrigation system, same, which can actually process maize, same piece of equipment, and the young people using this equipment would be able to have one solution, a single solution. And really I would encourage, because there's not a lot of leeway in other enterprises as you have in agriculture. Lastly, because we are emphasizing value addition, as the Honorable Minister talked about, innovation and value addition. When you produce milk in dairy, for example, don't stop at milk, selling milk. Yogurt, ghee, butter, other things which can be done actually at the farm, at the household, which can be, you know, these small enterprises at the household. And there's a market. Of course, our young people are now also a bit more, they know a bit more about the things that are happening. So we are leveraging this knowledge and enthusiasm to ensure that they are pushing forward and pushing the agricultural revolution.
Let me get to the Honorable Minister now. When it comes to the major challenges the agriculture sector is facing, you do realize that there is also something to do with post-harvest losses. But besides that, what other challenges are there? And then how are you addressing them? Because it is the most important bit of things here.
You see, part of all we've been discussing in one way or another are challenges. The point of food security you talked about, and which the PS ably explained, Uganda is food secure, for sure. This is not to say that certain semi-arid areas like Karamoja have not experienced hunger. Okay? So the issue there becomes food distribution within the country. We've been feeding our neighbors. Our grain moves everywhere. At some point, people were putting pressure on government that we should put a ban on exportation of grain. But somehow we got advice and said, no, as long as our people can produce, and as long as we keep getting bump harvests, we shouldn't rush to stop that. The solution for balancing food distribution, our plan is to have the National Food Reserve. And perhaps in the medium term, if funds allow in our budget, we will have national silos, and we'll have a company that does that. We buy from the areas that have enough, that have bump harvests. We store the food for easy, rapid response. I can tell you, when we came up with a strategic intervention on food security, where we involved the army, where we involved the prisons, and many other, the price of grain and kawunga in the market, even for the poultry farmers, was on the roof. But when that intervention came in, and more grain was brought onto the market, the price came down. So the solution for that is production. And unfortunately, we still have arable land, I can tell you. We still have arable land. We will continue to incentivize, the other word, we will continue to incentivize the large scale land owners with machinery, with tractors, and they will produce more. Now, the other challenge, like you've said, agriculture was seen as an activity of the grandparents, an activity of the old, of the less privileged. Less privileged. Even you see, I remember raising a complaint in one of the IFAD of our council sessions in Rome. Stop putting the pictures of our grandparents with the wrinkled faces, carrying baskets on their head.
To depict the agricultural sector.
To be the signature
Of what agriculture looks
Yes,
like.
yes, because that's how it has been presented. But let me tell you, with digitization, with innovation, with smart applications, people can monitor what's going on. And also with knowledge being consumed by the young people, that you can drive a lot of money from leveraging the value chain. I can milk. My father, who is now 92 years old, and who has looked after cattle for almost 90 years of his life, maybe 80 something, because he started doing so at the age of 5, doesn't know how to do yogurt using machines. Okay? They know that you churn the milk in the gourd and then you get butter. That's all they know at that basic level. But now with technology, it can be done more. You get ice cream. If you go to India, there is the biggest cooperative called Amur Dairy, 75 years old. Small farmers with 2 liters of milk from the buffalo. They do everything. They do ice cream, they do chocolate. So the young people have a lot of place to occupy in agriculture if they place themselves at each stage of the value chain. They may not necessarily be the producers, because most of them don't have land, but they can transport the produce. They are doing it, the borders. They can do the processing. They have the knowledge to easily adapt. So really, there's a lot of future in agriculture, and I'm happy majority are leveraging this. Without going far away from this, let me also let you know that the Ministry of Agriculture has done a lot in terms of addressing disease control, because that's the other biggest challenge agriculture faces. We've done a lot of animal health interventions, particularly control of FMD, that people in the center here call as Karusu, and in other areas they call it Ejwa. So we've given out a lot of vaccines, millions and millions of doses. We got quick intervention from the government of Egypt. I want to thank them. That linkage was made by our CDF, General Moses Kainerugaba. I want to thank him. We got that intervention so quick, and we've been able to arrest Karusu. So people have been asking, when are you lifting the quarantine? And I've been clear on this together with my colleagues. Some districts where the DVOs, where the chief administrative officers have accounted to us their vaccination status. We gave you 50,000 doses. Have you vaccinated the animals? Are your sub-counties safe? Do you still have any active cases? If no cases, what they call is it a disease dissolution, it has resolved. Then we lift the quarantine.
Okay.
It's the recommendation of that district. So I have to tell you people, it is not the Ministry of Agriculture enjoying you to be quarantined and restricted. Let your district tell us the status you are in. Quarantine is sometimes not good, but it is the inevitable to avoid disease spread, to disrupt transmission of the disease and save your herd. Thank you.
All right. And the hashtag on X is UBC Frontbench. Please do note that this year, the annual UN Climate Conference does return in November. That is in Baku, COP29. Bringing me to the question of understanding how the ministry is intending to address climate change in agricultural development. I'll quickly run to the permanent secretary for that one. Climate change. It has been the talk in not only Uganda, Africa, world over. How are we making sure that we are doing, you've mentioned something to do with smart agriculture. Even the minister's done so.
Absolutely.
How are we ensuring we are addressing
But
climate
just
change?
a bit backwards, because this is one of the existential threats, not just to Uganda, but to humankind. Climate change is an issue. It is estimated that we may have crossed the threshold of increase in temperature of 1 degree Celsius, average temperature. In some countries, I think last year was the hottest year on record. Now, climate change has 2 elements. One, variability of weather, where droughts are more severe and you have floods, which are more dangerous. Climate change actually removes predictability from the production system in agriculture. Now, particularly in Uganda, climate change has been forced on ourselves. I can say, I don't want to call it carelessness, but we have really, because we have cultivated swamps, as you know, we have cut down some forests, and the swamps and forests are reservoirs for the water. God was very clever. God said, let there be swamps and lakes and rivers. And from these swamps and lakes and rivers, we shall have rain. We shall have water going up into the sky. And when it reaches at the sky at certain pressure and temperatures, that rain, that water will fall down as rain and rejuvenate the swamps and rivers. The trees do two things. One, they provide shade and help us to really cool the atmosphere. But two, also through transpiration, through the leaves themselves also help to get some water up into the sky. So the ministry, as the Honorable Minister told you, we have a specific project which we have called Uganda Climate Smart Agricultural Transformation Project. Now this project has an element, because part of the problem of climate change has been productivity. The minister has ably told you about production and productivity, but you see the simple argument is this one, moderators, Paul. If the productivity of my soil has gone down, okay, it means I have to look for productive soil. Now, productive soil, you know, swamps and forests are productive. In other words, they are virgin. So people have moved towards the swamp basically because they are looking for good soil. Now, the solution to this is not to move into the swamp. The solution is fertilizer. The solution is irrigation, as the Honorable Minister has talked about. The solution is ensuring that the forests are present to provide cover and provide rain. They act as carbon sinks, because the forests also act as carbon sinks. Okay. Those leaves take away carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide warms the atmosphere. When the atmosphere warms, what happens is when this water that comes from the swamps and the forests goes up into the air, it will fall not as water, but it will fall as hail. You know, recently in Rukunjiri, you had hailstorms. Part of the causes of hailstorm is climate change, is when you cultivate swamps and you remove water, rather you remove the forest.
Okay.
Yes.
And from that, let me take your parting shots before I finally head to the minister. What would be your parting messages to our viewer this evening and to everyone who is directly involved in agriculture?
My parting shots would be, one, ensure that we farm knowing that we need to farm in the pocket. We need to put money in our pocket. Farming, yes, is for food, but farming is also for money. You must have money. You must farm. And to do this, you must select a correct enterprise, which you must do well. Two, the ministry is doing all that it has to do to ensure that we guide the people correctly, to ensure that we enforce the standards, to make sure that people don't get fake inputs, and to ensure that we facilitate markets for our people. Lastly, to beg people, because agriculture is predicated on physical and climatic conditions. Please understand that climate change is real. Please ensure that we don't go into swamps, don't cut down forests. Please, 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 please. Otherwise, we are destroying agriculture. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Major General. Now, let me get to Honorable Frank Tumwebaze. Honorable, in your parting shots, I would like you to comment on something to do with the European Union deforestation regulation and what the ministry is doing to ensure that Ugandans get to know about the licensing and not to fall away from what the EU intends to achieve with that?
Okay, thank you, Paul. First of all, it is not only the EU as a market we are targeting.
Okay.
For coffee, EU is a big market, so it is for other products. They came up with a regulation demanding that, and the justification is protection of the environment, which we equally treasure and value. They are saying any coffee grown on a deforested zone or a deforested land won't be bought by European countries. It's reasonable. It's understandable. They want you to farm and balance forests. The same point I had told you. So, fortunately, most of our coffee farms have been here with us. They've really been here, as you hear they say, in the middle of Judge. Most of the farms, Masaka, where, even the new people who are cultivating coffee are doing it on farmland. We don't have cases of cutting huge forests for coffee. So we are now trying to do compliance processes, map the gardens, put it online, and whoever buys the coffee can trace the coffee to the source garden. It is some detail, but this will be managed very well by the actors in the value chain, working closely with UCDA and the ministry. UCDA has been supported with some money, even some partners have come on board. I launched an exercise of registration. Registering your coffee farm is not for any purpose, please. Don't be misled. And I appeal to many leaders of different categories to cooperate. Don't mislead our people. We are not registering farmers for taxation. Far from that. It's not correct. We are registering the coordinates of your farm to prove a point that your coffee is not from an area that had a forest that you spoiled. So it's really for purposes of complying with the market. And what we need to know is that every other market has its own dictates. For example, China. We've just signed protocols with China for dried chilies. We've signed on fish, fish meal, and others. So each export market will have to require you and me, the exporter or the producer, to fulfill condition A, B, C. Because they want to be sure that what they are allowing into their country is safe for consumption. Okay. So we too demand the same for the imports that come into the country. So finally, I want to tell Ugandans that for the first time, agriculture is the most profitable sector. And I am saying this for the first time. Why? There is so much money into the sector. We don't have money as a ministry to give you machinery and whatever, but there is so much money in PDM. This is money directed to you at the parish level. Ensure the people in the committees don't misuse the money. 100 million every year. Every year. Every year. In 5 years, a parish gets 500 million. Multiply by the parishes we have in Uganda. It's a huge revolution. It's huge. Secondly, if you go to the banks, there is the agricultural credit facility at 12%. We've been reviewing it with the Ministry of Finance and the OPM to see that it's more friendly. Even then, by any standards, that 12% is so far the best rate in the market, in the banking sector, compared to the rate they get for construction, compared to the rate for other businesses. So really, if you have your farm, your land, plan it well. We're here to guide you. The district staff are there to guide you. If it is extensive farming, you can do cattle, you can do crop, you can do animal feeds, and you can even do more cattle with intensive farming. That's where most of us are going. The people suffering with milk prices, why? It's because we've not been able to produce the same volumes, be it in the dry and wet weather, and we've not come together into cooperatives to speak as a united force and negotiate better. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And there you have it. I've been having two guests from the Ministry of Agriculture and Industry and Fisheries. First has been the Permanent Secretary of the same ministry, Major General David Kasura Chomukama, who has been joining us here together. He has been with the Honorable Frank Tumwebaze. Again, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of the show this evening. And am I running out of time? Yes, I am. Maybe next time I'll be sharing the story of how I learned how to milk.
See? So I must tell you to go and plant coffee.
Coffee.
Thank you.
My grandfather used to plant a lot of coffee. And of course, that means tomorrow morning you should wake up and take coffee. Or this evening, you can take some Ugandan coffee. But next time I'll be sharing a story on how I learned milking a cow. But for now, it's a good evening. Till next time, bye-bye.
Fellow countrymen and women, these are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Culturally, but it all began with Robusta coffee that wildly grew on the shores of Lake Victoria and later on domesticated by the people in Buganda, growing it in their farms. Today at Gangwa Hotel and Restaurant, we will take you through the unique way they make coffee. With all the gadgets and electronic appliances we have today, they make coffee in a natural way. They use natural grinders. Basically, it is manually done. But I would like for you to follow me and see how perfectly they make it. I'm telling you, this coffee is everything that you need. Follow me as we see how they make Uganda's coffee, and you enjoy a cup with me. Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hi. How are you? Beautiful place you got here. So here I am at Gangwa Hotel and Restaurant, and I'm about to enjoy a cup of fine coffee, Robusta coffee, made, grown in Uganda.
Welcome.
Thank you. So many people think that to grow coffee, you must have big chunks of land for you to start. But I can tell you this, you can grow coffee in your compound on a small piece of land. That can be your starting point. For instance, we are here at Gangwa Hotel and we have coffee plants in the compound here, in their garden. That is coffee being grown here. So you do not have to wait to get a big chunk of land. You can start growing your coffee today in your small space back in your home. Maybe a few trees, and then later you can expand and have a big chunk of coffee plantation. But you have to start, and you start now, and start with Robusta coffee, which is indigenous to Uganda.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you? Nice to meet you. Hi. Hi. How are you? So when you sit in a restaurant and make an order for your coffee, these are the people that make for you coffee, baristas. This is Barista James and Barista Aisha. So James, take us through the process of making coffee at Gangwa Hotel.
Thank you. One of the processes that we are going to solve, we have Hario V60, where we use a barista. This one is a barista. Yes, you can show. Then, continue.
You talk about it.
We have a hand grinder. Yeah. Then we have a cup and a funnel.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Then
right.
we have the V60 filter papers.
Okay. All right, so now let's start to make my cup of coffee.
Okay. we measure 15 to 18 grams.
Okay. Is that for strong, mild coffee?
For strong coffee, we must have like 20 grams.
Okay.
Yeah, then a mild one we can have around 15. Yeah, then medium we can have 18.
All right.
Yeah, so here we are going to use 18 grams.
Okay.
The medium.
Okay.
So we first measure in grams. Use. So, yeah, that's perfect. Then you take the machine, pour inside. We are going to grind it now.
Okay.
We shall need some bigger particles, not very fine. Yeah. So she's grinding it.
So how long does the grinding process take?
It takes around 1 minute. Yeah, 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where other people are using already ground coffee, for you have your coffee beans that you grind, and then give us that nice enchanting coffee.
To the cup.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have to serve the coffee, which is very like when we have this coffee which is already ground, you may find that the taste is not very good. It has already lost whatever, so the flavors. So we are at serving that fresh brewed coffee.
Okay.
Yes.
And all the coffee that you grind here is Ugandan grown coffee.
Yeah, only pure Ugandan made coffee.
I can already feel the aroma.
Yeah.
It's covering the entire space.
Yeah, that's why we like serving it freshly and in the powder form.
Is the
So
minute
it's
done?
Yes. Okay. Then after grinding, we are going to have our viscous filter paper. Organize the cup. We hang it on the funnel. Okay. Then we measure.
Oh, you measure again?
Yeah, we have to measure. That's okay. Then we have to wet the filter paper.
Okay.
We wet it to remove some germs and so on.
Okay.
Then also that water will really pass warm the cup. It will be supported by some warmth. When you pour the hot water on the cup, it will look very good.
Okay.
And also kill some germs.
Ah,
Yeah. So
I can see you pay attention to detail.
Yeah. Okay, wet it. Okay. That's so good. After that, you can pour off the other water in this cup. Okay. Put back to the whisker. Then we can pour our powder now over the filter paper. Yes. That's very good. Then after that, we are going to pour over the water.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why sometimes this kind of brewing method is called a pour over method. We are going to pour over hot water with time. Yeah. She will pour the water for 2 minutes when she's pouring the water.
Oh, that's the reason we have a timer.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Can give it a blooming period so that it can breathe. It's called a blooming period. You can
Blooming period.
Yeah, it's blooming.
Okay.
Yeah. Then after she can continue. So in this we shall need 270 grams of water at least.
Is that the amount that fills up a
Yeah,
cup?
the outcome.
Okay.
Add a little. It may not be very accurate here. We can stop the time after 2 minutes. Then
Okay.
we shall give it 1 minute to serve it.
Why are we giving it 1 minute?
For this other water to drop down to the cup.
Okay.
The coffee to drop down to the cup. Yes, we give it 1 minute. It will be ready to be served. So our pour over is ready. It's ready to be served.
Well, brewed to perfection. So how long does the process take from start to finish?
From start to finish, probably 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, now you know why sometimes when you order for your coffee, it takes a minute. Not so long, 5 minutes is enough for you to wait for a good brewed cup of Ugandan coffee.
Yeah.
Now, on to the next, that is enjoying what has been made. I will be the witness. I'll let you know how this tastes. So follow me as I go ahead to enjoy my cup of coffee. Now we have seen how coffee is processed here at Gangwa Hotel and Restaurant. It's about time we sat down and enjoyed the cup of coffee that they have made. I said I'll be the witness to let you know whether it is worth your money or not, but I'm very sure it's going to be worth your while. So join me, let's have some coffee. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we just made a cup of amazing, amazing coffee.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.